inspiration now to write a song. So I took my snake, I'm running to the forest like I do every time.
Welcome back to our video series about Václav Havel and human rights. Today we're going to talk about the Velvet Revolution in Czechoslovakia. I bought some velvet trousers once. It caused quite a scandal, but not a revolution. In the last 3 episodes, we talked about how the young Václav Havel experienced communist injustice and how he could not help but respond to occupation in 1968.
How over the course of time, he became one of the leading advocates of human rights in Czechoslovakia. It cost him years in prison, where he nearly died of pneumonia.
Now let's go to the year 1983. Episode 6 of Star Wars, The Return of the Jedi is out, and it's very good. This woman sets a new world record in running. This one, and this handsome guy was born.
At the same time, Václav Havel leaves prison as the informal but respected leader of the Czechoslovak human rights advocates.
But what does such a leader do? Does he go to telling salons or ride in golf cars?
No, in a communist country, he's either arrested or banned. So Havel writes his plays and keeps them for later, but in the world, he's one of the most well-known voices defending the oppressed.
Like Freddie Mercury? I want to break free. I want to break free. I want to break free.
Nope, not the same. Not the same. No. Actually, Václav Havel organizes meetings and activities of the dissidents, writes essays explaining why all the opposition movement and anti-regime protests make sense.
And he does some practical things like a bit of gardening, cutting the bushes, feeding the cats. Oh yeah, and he helps distribute funds from abroad from the persecuted Charter signatories and their families, smuggle printers and computers and cameras for the needs of the Charter. Yeah. Wow, they had computers back then.
I think so. At this time, Mikhail Gorbachev becomes the most powerful man in the Soviet Union. Now, he's younger than his predecessors and surprisingly amiable and open to agreement. He wants to change the image of the Soviet Union.
By adding some colours, fruit baskets, ribbons, that kind of thing.
Not quite that thing, but he does have a nickname, Gorby. And there's a surge of Gorby mania. People love him because he wants to listen to criticism and brings hope of a thaw, even proposing peace treaties.
He's inspired by Czechoslovak socialism with a human face, which ended up under the wheels of tanks, but this time round, it works.
The changes are called perestroika, and our friend Gorby is eventually awarded the Nobel Prize for it.
Communist countries in Central and Eastern Europe follow the Soviet example. The normalization regime in Czechoslovakia, however, resists any loosening of control. Tension in the society is rising.
Do you still remember Yann Pollock, who we mentioned in episode 2?
Yes, he was the man who set himself on fire against the Russian occupation.
Exactly. Well, now we're in the beginning of 1989 and Pollock Week is going on in the streets of Prague. It's 20 years since his suicide in protest against the communist regime, and other opponents gather in memory of his death.
Během Palachova týdne dochází k opakovaným střetům demonstrantů s policií. Stovky hlavně mladých lidí jsou zbity obušky a zadrženy. Protesty jsou potlačovány vodními děly, slzným plynem, najížděním transportérů do davu.
They also arrested several dissidents, including Havel, his 3rd arrest.
After being released on parole, he and his friends launch a petition called Several Sentences, which is signed by 40,000 people in a few months.
Už v tom vězení, ještě než mě pustili, jsem cítil, že ta situace, kdy začínají lidé, kteří po léta měli 1001 dobrých důvodů mlčet, jsou schopni se ozvat způsobem, který ty vládě je nemilej, že tyto situace třeba využít.
Na rozdíl od základního prohlášení Charty 77 obsahuje petice konkrétní politické požadavky jako propuštění politických vězňů nebo zrušení cenzury.
The Eastern Communist Bloc, ruled by the Soviet Union, falls apart. The communist regimes in Central Europe collapse like dominoes. In Poland, the communists begin to rule with those they used to persecute.
In Germany, the Berlin Wall falls. It had divided Berlin, Germany and Europe into the east and the west. It's unthinkable today. One city was once divided into two separate parts by a high wall and a barbed wire fence. Now, 28 years later, the families separated by the wall can finally reunite for the first time.
The day when it all begins in Czechoslovakia is Friday, the 17th of November.
Wait, that's unlucky, isn't it?
No, that's Friday the 13th.
Oh.
November 17th is International Students' Day. Students are gathering in Prague. By 4 p.m., there's a huge group of them. At the beginning, it's a quiet and permitted demonstration.
Oh, right, yeah, I saw a poster for that. It said, take a flower with you, so I brought one along.
Yes, but because people have been dissatisfied for so long, this event turns into an anti-government demonstration. There are suddenly 10,000 people, not just students. Everyone is calling for peace and freedom.
The crowd moves to the city centre. Special police corps start to encircle it. Students light candles in front of the police, and girls hand flowers to the policemen, and they chant, "Our hands are empty."
At 8:30, the High Command orders a brutal attack. Everyone is beaten with batons. Blood is shed. The anti-communist movements in the opposition are united. Václav Havel, the world-famous dissident, becomes the informal leader of the revolution.
There is a great response from the public. The next day, 100,000 people gather in the streets of Prague. God, that's a lot.
After several days of mass protest, it's clear that the communist regime has come to an end.
The revolution takes place without casualties, and that's why it goes down in history as the Velvet Revolution.
Patience is the best remedy when you fight for human rights. The results often come very slowly and painfully, but that doesn't mean it's meaningless.
Václav Havel was very right in saying that hope is not the belief that something will turn out well in the end, but the confidence that something is meaningful in the first place.
Exactly. So if I wanted to win Dancing with the Stars and do my cha-cha, I shouldn't want to be the best from the beginning.
That's right. You cannot win immediately. Rather, it's important to believe that one day you can make it, to know that it means something to you and to not give up. And maybe one day you'll have even better goals.
So have the people in Czechoslovakia won now?
I'm glad you're so excited about this, but you'll have to wait till the next episode.